Saber Force fans. We are meeting today to go over the Phantom Menace. So the first episode, episode 1. And the reason we chose this, well, the reason I agreed to it was that I wanted to watch every episode in order. So that's what we are planning on doing, is we're going to watch every episode in order and talk about it today. So a little bit about the Phantom Menace. It's from the second set of 3 movies made. It's in the prequel trilogy. So they made episodes 4, 5, and 6 first, and then they made episodes 1, 2, 3. So if you don't know about it, which if you're watching this, you're probably a fan and you know that. But what happens is Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi go to save Princess Amidala. They save they're trying to save the planet of Naboo. And when they get there, they pick up Princess Amidala to take her back to Coruscant. But they have to make a fated stop in Tatooine. When they stop in Tatooine, they meet Anakin. The young Anakin, the 9-year-old Anakin. And he's a slave on Tatooine. And so, anyway, everything happens, and they take him as a Padawan back to Naboo, and then they save Naboo. How do you like my summary? And then that's it. So, what do we think of this movie?
What do we think about episode 1? Well, I guess we can take a look at the time period setting, because that's the most interesting thing about it. It's set, when the Jedi were in power in the Republic. So that was really cool to see, for the first time, seeing the Jedi in a place of power, protecting the galaxy from threats. Something very new to look at in terms of the Star Wars universe.
I for one have to say I was super excited about it when it came out, because it had been years and years and years since we saw anything, and then by that time you didn't think anything was going to come out. So when it came out, I was super excited about it, and I enjoyed most of it. There were some things that kind of bothered me, which bother I think everyone, Jar Jar Binks. I just I mean, he's cute and all, and if you have kids, he was a cute little weird character, but I could have done without him.
Lisa, I think you're so sad. It gets real tired real quick.
I think you've watched him too much.
He never said that.
Probably.
He never said that, though.
No.
That's not a real thing.
Something like that. Just, put the worst spin on them as possible.
Yeah. I think for me, also, I liked the way they designed the ships. They were definitely different than the time period we saw before. They looked sleeker and more regal. Even the weapons seemed a little more sleek, which is kind of weird if I think about it too much, because it almost seems like it should have been the other way around, but it's a prequel.
But that's why they went back and remade the sequels afterwards.
Yeah.
And re-released them in theaters, which was really cool to go back and see them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I want to say the first 100 times I saw A New Hope was on the TV as a kid. Yeah, I didn't see it in the theater until later.
That's true. My major takeaway from it was the whole Anakin beginnings. Anakin, where he comes, that's Darth Vader.
Wait, that's a spoiler.
So, that was I felt the most interesting part of the whole story really was finding out where he came from, what he was doing, and his childhood is like it was perfect for that kind of storytelling, where he came from. Now I'm also the kind of person that picks out one little item that it takes them years to play into it later. Which here's the tie-in that I got was Anakin was I'm nobody. I came from nowhere. And then years later you have Rey. I'm nobody. I came from nowhere. Kind of the same story. It's just history is repeating itself yet again.
Yeah.
And Luke too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that whole Jedi, I guess, history repeating itself kind of thing is like a
what he's trying
trademark.
to say, you have to be a poor desert slave to be a Jedi.
To be a Jedi. Yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm in the wrong place.
Yeah, that's right.
Ugh.
You need to move to the desert.
We need a tropical Jedi.
Yeah.
Or subtropical Jedi. That's what we need.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but what do you guys think of the new characters introduced in this trilogy? You have Qui-Gon. It's a big one, played by Liam Neeson. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Such a strong character. Even more so than Obi-Wan, at the same time. I was just like...
Well, he was Obi-Wan's master.
Yeah.
Exactly, and he just held a different position because he was like younger and more like viral, I guess, than...
I like Qui-Gon because he seemed like a Jedi who didn't really play by Jedi's rules. He was sort of like his own person.
Maverick.
Yeah, Maverick.
Yeah.
But I feel like at the time of the movie, people didn't think that way. I
Right.
think that the whole idea that he was his own person and he had played by his own rules came after the fact when people started analyzing Star
Right,
Wars
yeah,
over
absolutely,
and
yeah.
over again. Because at the time, I just thought he was just another Jedi. So, and now you love him, and now I love him.
Right. The character of Obi-Wan, though, because he's so political, I guess. And I didn't feel like I got that from the first trilogy. But then you get to see how he's like interacting with everyone and trying. He's kind of like the go-between,
Yeah.
So how about that Darth Maul dude? Poor thing.
Well,
He was so short-lived.
Yeah,
It wasn't the whole thing named after him.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think it
I would say it was named after Palpatine. That's my guess. I think he was the Phantom Menace.
But I think it was important to introduce Darth Maul as a character because there are, in later series and later incantations of the Star Wars saga, you see other beings of his species out there.
And he also appears
And,
a lot, in more recent stuff.
Yeah,
That's because he was so cool, they had to resurrect him from
Right.
the dead.
I guess so. So, I think they were, with this movie, they were kind of, in a way, playing the long game because they knew they're going to make 3 more movies after this, after the first 3, 1, 2, and 3, and they're going to do more later. So they kind of had this whole new story and backstory to fill in, so that they could fast forward past, into the future to get the new generation coming in for the last 3 movies. So I think that in a way they must have known all the whole time that this was all going to happen eventually. So they started building it up and kind of pushing it forward.
I don't know, see, and I don't really know how true this was, but when I was a kid and I was like looking at the title of A New Hope, I remember asking my older brother, I'm like, well, why is it episode 4? Like, it did not make sense to me. Like, why would they start there?
Yeah.
And so I almost think that George Lucas pre-made. Like, I think he already had the story there. I'm not sure he had to go back and fill in. I think he started there, but he didn't have the technology to actually create those movies. Because think about how much CGI they had to do with all those clones and those those robot things. I don't think he thought he could make the earlier part of that story, where this one it was more reasonable, I guess.
And I think that was the story he chose because it was the one that was most likely to make money and to be able to. No, seriously,
He is a smart man.
I think I remember seeing an interview with him somewhere where he said, out of all these episodes, because he had a lot of these episodes already banked, written, at least rough drafts.
Too bad he didn't have 7, 8, 9 written.
And he was, and I think he looked at all the ones he had and he was like, okay, which one of these would sell to a major studio? Has the best fairy tale type story. So that's what I feel that's why he chose that one. It seemed like I read that or heard that or saw it in an interview that's why he chose that. So that he would have the money, at least the best chance of making a sequel, to be able to have the money to make the other stories that he wanted to tell, but he needed money to do it. At the time, he was broke. So.
Yeah. Well, it's all the hero's journey anyway. All of them.
Yeah.
If you look at the story structure.
Yeah.
Even the first, they start really far back. I guess that's the thing. It's in the prequel trilogy, it's really the only time they went so far between episode 1 and episode 2 had a really big years gap. Where none of the other ones, they all seem to flow within a few months of each other or whatnot. And I think that was interesting too, because it did allow us to see Anakin as a very young child. And fall in love with him as this cute little, boy. You could pinch his little cheeks, and he's innocent, and you really like the character. What's not to like? And that's why I think a lot of people really like Darth Vader, is because we've seen more of a full arc with him than with some of the other characters.
And then talking about his future love interest, Princess Amidala, who is one of my favorite characters. We were talking about characters, so she's totally interesting too. How she's the queen and she's only 16 years old.
Yeah.
That's one of the most unbelievable things to me. But they portrayed her as a really knowledgeable and well thought person, able to make these political decisions so nicely. She came across as. They when they introduced her, she was newly elected, and it's just amazing to me that she could make these decisions so early on.
Yeah, but if you think about the old Victorian days, a lot of those kings and queens were very young as well.
Yeah.
So it kind of followed that pattern.
Yeah,
Other than the fact that she was elected. Right. She wasn't born into
Right.
Yeah.
She was born into a political family. So that makes sense.
And for fans of the droids, of course, you have the origin story of C-3PO.
That was cool.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Who knew?
Who knew? He was made by Darth Vader. Oh, I'm sorry. Spoiler.
And then R2-D2 does appear first in this movie too. Yeah, he saves that beautiful Naboo cruiser. That beautiful ship. It was almost blown to bits, but R2-D2 saved it. It was wonderful.
Yeah, so again, they tie in those droids into every single movie. So that there's that common thread that goes through everything.
Yep.
For sure.
We haven't talked about the biggest baddie in Star Wars.
Oh,
Palpatine.
the Emperor.
Oh, well, yeah.
Oh, but he wasn't the Emperor then. He was the Chancellor.
Who's just
He was
Chancellor?
senator.
Oh, he
He started out as senator.
So, but you saw his origin story too, from his rise to evilness.
And then he was a normal kind of politician.
Seemed to be on the outside.
Well, yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's he didn't seem like a weird, creepy,
Yeah.
thing.
He's
He
trying
was
to
like,
blend in
He did a good job.
with all the other senators.
he did. He did a good job. No, that was a good story. So,
Yeah, and see, and it's so cool to watch him manipulate the system.
Yeah.
And he was ready to kill Amidala, but then when she arrived at Coruscant, he manipulated her into like doing things. Well, I guess he wasn't ready to kill her. He was trying to manipulate her from far away. But then she arrived to Coruscant, and he manipulated her there to vote out the current reigning guy.
Right.
Yeah, and that's another thing like I love about the prequel trilogy is just since it expands on Palpatine, it shows you how smart he is and how long he's been planning to take over the galaxy.
And talking about playing the long game,
Right.
He definitely was playing the long game there. Yeah. So,
We have to talk about one more thing, which is my favorite part of the whole movie, which was pod racing.
oh, that's
That was
right.
like the coolest thing. Like when this showed up in the movies, the sound and just the idea that Anakin built this pod racer, and that's how Qui-Gon Jinn knew he was like talented, is because he knew how to like be able to sense what was coming before it came. He had that mental sense, and he was smart like
I
that.
had to have that video game too.
I
I mean, that was a thing. Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I've never actually played the game myself, but what I've
That was
heard
cool.
from other people, it was actually like being in a pod race.
I had to
for
go
real.
by the joystick and everything. Like I
Oh,
was
that's cool.
it was awesome.
Oh, so, okay, now that we're done talking about episode 1, what did you guys think about it? Please tell us in the comments below. We want to hear from you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. Until next time, may the Force be with you.